Another type of equation that you will be required to solve are logarithmic equations. So let's just go back over what a logarithm is. And the definition of a logarithm is that if a to the x equals n, then the log, and don't forget the log is nothing more than just a power or an index, the log of the number n to base a, here's my base here, a, is equal to x. Now that's the algebraic definition of what a logarithm is. If a to the x equals n, then the log of n to base a is x. In other words, the log is the power you must raise a to get the number n is equal to x. Well, here we raise a to the power of x and we get n. So let's have a look at a couple of examples. So if we've got 4 log to base x of 9 equals 8, we can firstly divide both sides by 4. So 4 will go to 8 and we can get rid of that. So if we put this all over 4 and all over 4, now don't forget that 4 is connected to the log by a multiplication, so that means that we can cancel that down and we get 1, and anything over 1 is just whatever's up there. So we've got the log of 9 to base x, 8 divided by 4 is 2. Now if you like, one way of looking at it is we've got this line up here of the definition. We've got logs of a number to some base equals 2. So we can go from this line up to the first line. So we can say that x is my base to my power of 2 will produce the number 9. And here we can say, well, okay, what possibilities do we have for x? And we can actually say, all right, if we find the square root of both sides, we get x equals plus or minus square root of 9, which is equal to plus or minus 3. Now, one of the definitions of a logarithm is that the base has to be a positive. So we know that x is positive because the base in logarithms, in this case the base is x, the log to base x of 9, even up here we've got to the base 9 of the number, sorry, the base x of the number 9. So if this has to be a positive, so x is positive, therefore we can just reject negative 3 as an answer, and therefore the answer is x is equal to positive 3. And you should always go back and check. So if you like, we can do a check. Left hand side of my original equation was 4 log to base, now we're saying x is equal to 3, so log to base 3 of 9. Now this is asking you, forget about the 4 at the moment, what's the power you must raise 3 to get number 9? So that is just 2, so that's 4 times 2, which is equal to 8. Let's go back and have a look at the right hand side. Here is my original equation up here. So we've got 4 log 9 to base x is equal, and the right hand side is 8. So we've got the left hand side equals the right hand side, so we know this is my answer, x equals 3. Okay, let's do another one. And we've got log of 8 to base 3 plus log 6 to base 3 equals log 5 to base 3 minus log y to base 3. Okay, we go back to our laws of logarithm, so we're asked to find y. here we want to find what this is, but we can simplify both the left hand side and the right hand side. We know that if we're adding the logs with exactly the same bases, we must be multiplying the numbers. So that's log to base 3 of 8 times 6. And we know if we're subtracting the logs here on the right hand side, once again they're both to base 3, we then must be dividing the numbers. So we're dividing the 5 by the y. Here we've got log to base 3 of something, log to base 3 of something. Now, if you go back to the old set of scales with solving equations, we know that if we do something to this side, we must do exactly the same to that side. Now, here we're taking log to base 3 of both sides. So if we undo that and just not subtract, but just to, because these numbers, which are both to log base 3 on both sides, then we can equate the numbers here. So this must be equal to this here. These two must be equal. Because the log to base 3 of this give you the same result, so the numbers must be the same. So 8 times 6 is 48 equals 5 over y. Let's just write it correctly there. So we've got 5 over y. Lots of ways we could do this. We've learned a situation where we can actually put a cross through the equals, multiply along the arms of the cross. We want to get y by itself, so 48y, 5 times 1 equals 5. So if we divide both sides by 48, we get y equals 5 over 48. And that is our answer. Now what I suggest you do is to do a check on the left hand side and right hand side. I'm not going to do it now, but you should do it. Left hand side is you do log of 8 to base 3 plus log of 6 to base 3. Work that out as a decimal. You can work that out on your calculator, and then the right hand side is equal to log 5 to base 3 minus log, and we're saying y is 5 on 48. And when you do that on your calculator, hopefully we'll get the same answer as we got up here. And there's our answer.